Interior, New York City bathroom, morning. We see a misted over mirror and hear a shower running. Through the haze, we see a young woman enter. She clears off a circle, and we see Cece Stanton, smarter than she is pretty. And damn, she is pretty. She has had a sleepless night, and though she's looking at the start of a very bad hair day.
Hello, you incredibly accomplished and confident woman. You are going to impress them with your abilities.
While Cece is reciting her mantra, the shower stops, and Ed, her husband, steps out. He starts doing his own morning ritual in the shared mirror.
You're going to wow them with your wisdom. You're going to amaze
Scare them. You are going to scare them.
By the time of the meeting, I will have brushed my teeth and done something with this.
You will, you know. Wow them.
I better.
What's his name again? The meeting?
Robert, I think. What?
Every unidentified white male object is Robert to you.
No, this is a legit Robert.
Who can afford to pay?
They're actually offering above my usual rate.
They must be up shit creek.
And without a paddle, and without a boat. Once they hire me, I'll forge your signature on an NDA and give you all the juicy details. Oh, you're walking this morning.
No!
Babe, you promised.
It's raining. You won't set paw on wet pavement. It's going to take forever.
Babe.
Please.
Babe.
Later? Next time?
Babe. Potential career-altering meeting. Ordinary day.
I would hardly call a consult an ordinary, a career-altering moment.
It's not going to be just another consult if I can help it. I'm going to get them to put me on the payroll.
You're serious about this? You would actually go in-house?
I am so sick of being outhouse, I could shit a brick the size of that god-awful armoire your mother gave us.
Not getting rid of the armoire.
Just saying, it's a hideous fucking armoire.
Oh, agreed. They would be lucky to have you.
Thanks. I'm still not walking home. Shit! And quick, if you're lucky.
They would be idiots not to put you on the payroll. You brought like 10 companies back from the brink.
11. The one where the woman said the CEO offered to lick her on the boardroom table.
That got resolved?
And their stock is up 10 points. These guys will be damn lucky to hire me. I am the world's best fixer of sexual harassment claims. I'm like an Asian American Olivia Pope.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like the diversity diva.
No.
That's kind of...
No, it's not. It's kind of like, oh, look, she thinks she's a diva.
No, it's kind of diva.
Oh my God, is this about my hair? I told you, I'm gonna do something with it.
No, it's not about... I'm gonna... Yeah. Love you.
Keep walking.
Interior, subway car. Cece, now in her corporate uniform, hair tamed, is practicing her points and taglines to herself. She sees an adorable little brown girl in a purple hat. Their eyes meet and she smiles as she makes faces at each other. Her mom smiles back.
Wave hi to the nice lady.
She's a cutie.
Thanks. How old are yours?
Oh, I don't have any.
Give it a minute. This one here was a surprise.
Cece looks away, still smiling, but a little awkward. She catches a guy leering at her. She wipes away her smile. Exterior, New York streets. Cece walks along the street, past a bunch of catcalling guys, and then a boutique window with high-fashion mannequins done up in geisha-style garb and makeup. She arrives at an office building where a nice young man holds a door open for her. She smiles at him. Interior, hexagon office, conference room. 4 men in various corporate styles are seated on one side of the table when Cece enters.
Hello there.
Hi. Cece Stanton, nice to meet you.
Bob Moore.
Great.
So, CC, does that stand for something?
It stands for Cece.
This is Rob Hughes. We were just wondering if it was short for some really interesting name.
Which we would do our very best to try to pronounce.
Nope, it's just Cece. C-I-C-I.
Bobby Simons, your resume is very impressive. The Ivies are accepting a lot of lady candidates these days.
I was valedictorian in my class at Exeter, so.
Not surprised. Your culture, right? It's a lot of pressure to achieve.
Yeah. Graduating from Cornell does put one under a lot of pressure. And you are?
Just call me R. Like a pirate.
R, which is short for?
Oh, Robert Thomas Glowworth III.
I'm surprised they don't call you Trip.
Yeah, they used to, but my life's too short for all that bullshit. Come on, bro.
Art calls everybody bro. It's nothing personal or gender specific.
Right. So, I've been reading about Hexagen's situation with Bella Hodge.
It's a crock of shit.
Bobby, don't start.
No, I'm just saying. You can't even breathe on a person these days without her getting it all upset in the wrong way.
I don't remember reading that Ms. Hodge alleged that you ever behaved inappropriately toward her, Mr. Hodge, or Mr. Simons, I'm sorry. More the opposite.
I kept damn sure away from her, that's for sure.
Right. Which she says meant not inviting her to meetings and other corporate events.
Those were social occasions.
Social board meetings.
We have a very social board.
Cece, we can't call you Cece, right? Obviously, we understand this situation looks bad from the outside.
Completely fucked, bro.
Which is why we need you.
You certainly do, Mr. Moore. Especially with the allegations Ms. Hodge made about you.
Yeah, well,
We're looking to you for help, Cece.
putting ourselves completely in your capable hands.
Whatever it is you think you can do at those exorbitant rates you charge.
Bro, I mean, like, if it's worth a shit ton, let it be a shit ton. If she's like, worth it, bro.
I'm very sure Cece could never disappoint us.
Fine. So make like with all the diversity or whatever it is that you do and make this shit go away.
Okay, sure. Let me just get the old lady diversity wand out, okay? Oh, right! Oh my gosh, there isn't one! If you want me to help you, to solve it, make it go away, you need to realize what it is you need me to do. That Bella Hodge is only part of the problem. She is just the tip of the iceberg of your problem.
Glowworth types just the tip on his phone and texts it to others who all smile.
So, what do you think our problem is?
I think it's his.
We need to start right where the problem is, and that's we never should have hired Bella in the first place.
I think that...
Her credentials work in political lobby.
Oh yeah, she did have some pretty nice credentials.
See, now, this is why we're in this situation. You are the problem, Bobby.
Don't send him off, please, bro.
Hey,
Don't
fuck you, Rob!
Cece raises her phone above her head and blasts at an air-splitting level. Cece sees she's got their attention and turns off the music.
As I was saying before I was interrupted and talked over, your problem is bigger than Bella Hodge. Your problem is losing customers who have vaginas. Yes, I can say that, and I am the only one in this room who can. To put it in numbers, there are approximately 300 other venture capital firms out there. Out of those, approximately half are your direct competitors in terms of industries represented and size of funds managed.
Can you get to the part with the vaginas?
Please.
Fine. Bella Hodge's accusations hurt you on two key competitive fronts. Not only other women who might want to pitch you projects, but women investors.
Just playing the devil's advocate here. Women investors and women pitching us projects? We can count those on one hand.
Simons texts the other Bobs a gift of a jerking off hand. As they smirk, Cece pulls up another chart.
Guys, here's some of the money you've lost using that one hand.
I'm sorry, what are those figures?
Those are profits from the companies set up by women founders that you rejected, that you jerked away.
No way.
Total way. And this These are the figures on what the new women-run VCs are doing right now.
These are women-run VCs?
Well, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yes, there are. And here's something else that might interest you.
What's that?
It's an app for investors. It lets them check out not only the financial numbers of the various VCs, but their diversity numbers as well.
Oh, so we're not PC. Scary.
Actually, it can be pretty scary for your bottom line. A lot of your corporate investors have their own diversity numbers and targets that they have to meet.
And these aren't just paper numbers?
You actually care about this? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that.
They do care about it. So there's just three of the ways in which getting a rep for treating women badly can come back to bite you.
Which brings us back to Bella Hodge.
So how do we fight her?
By proving she's crazy.
By denying the allegations, sure, and by putting your diversity numbers where your mouth is.
Simon smiles and starts to text.
Guys, you'll be able to focus better without the nasty texts. Trust me. Great. So here's what you need to do. There needs to be a corporate apology. Something that sounds legit, not the usual, I'm sorry if you feel hurt, bullcrap.
We haven't done anything wrong.
I said apology, not admit.
Okay, so we'll issue a press release.
I'm not talking about a press release. I'm not even talking about one speech. I'm talking about
Cece pulls up visuals of Maude talking to Oprah, Ellen, Colbert, etc.
an apology tour.
What? So cool.
Wait, why is Bob doing the tour?
Why is anybody doing a tour? Am I the only one who remembers we didn't do anything wrong?
You want to know what you did wrong? You denied Bella Hodge meetings and opportunities because she had a vagina. My guess is you flirted with her constantly and called it charm or just kidding. You probably told her the things you thought she wanted to hear and then laughed at the raunchy jokes about her and rubber-stamped the decisions to deny her promotions repeatedly. And you? I haven't figured out your deal yet, but give me a minute.
So how long do you see all this taking?
I'm gonna need time to plot out the apology tour, as well as setting up the Inclusion Initiative.
What the unholy fuck is an inclusion initiative?
It's the program that is going to not only put Bella Hodge's allegations to rest, it's going to bring you back the women investors and founders who are giving their money and billion-dollar ideas to your competition.
Billions with a B?
Check it out.
Stella Ware was a profit maker?
Along with Gal Gadget and X-Chrome.
Well, how the hell are we supposed to know? They had no experience, no track record.
They had just as much experience as the 85% of the male founders who came to you. Fortunately, with me on the staff, you're not going to make these costly mistakes in the future.
You?
No.
Bro!
I understand. You'll need a minute to think about it. You gentlemen, reach out when you're ready, and if I'm still available, I'll do what I can to help you.
Cece pulls up the news on the monitor, which is full of headlines about Hexagon and sexual harassment scandal and interviews with a tearful Bella Hodge.
You have a nice day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who the fuck called her?
I got a number from a squash buddy. You know the boardroom table situation?
I heard their stocks are up, way up.
She is energetic.
Yeah, she's kind of like Asian Olivia.
Yeah, but we're not politicians.
And nobody's like dead or kidnapped. That's fine, right?
Yeah, and she's not sleeping with the president.
Okay, yeah, all right. She's nothing like Olivia Pope.
But she is Asian. Are we allowed to say that?
Great. Now we're just challenging everything we do, every fucking thought we have, why don't you?
Bro, chill. So we can.
So,
Hey,
Fuck.
Bros.
hey.
hey,
Interior, subway platform afternoon. Cece is standing on the platform beating herself up.
Too cushy. Much too cushy. I should have played it gentler. I should have been softer. What am I gonna have?
Cece's phone buzzes. Cece pulls it out and looks at it. Her face lights up. She starts dancing on the platform to... End of Act 1. Act 2. Interior, hexagon conference floor, lobby, morning. Cece steps out of the elevator, smiling but determined, and heads to Deborah at reception. When Deborah looks up from her ever-present phone, you see that she looks exactly like the kind of beautiful woman you expect the Bobs to have as a receptionist. If they ever looked her in the eye, they'd see that she's smarter than all of them put together. Fortunately for them, she doesn't care enough to show it.
Cece Stanton, I know I'm a little early, but there's a lot to do, so... Here I am.
Can I help you, honey?
I'm Cece Stanton. I'm supposed to start working here. Today? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really. So if you could please show me to my office, I'll get started.
The offices are on the next floor down.
Oh, would you mind showing me where I'm supposed to go? Please?
Sure. Make a left at the bottom and stay to your right. It's safer.
Make a left? Aren't you going to show me?
Oh no, I don't go down there anymore.
Cece heads downstairs and heads onto the main working floor. Cece sees an open office area with tables of young men yelling and throwing things at each other. There are monitors around showing videos of beautiful, scantily clad women, and various obscene objects are on desk. One young man is gesticulating with an unseen object and is talking to his buddies.
So, she's like a dog with a bone, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, ow, sweetie, watch it with the teeth so she...
Matt sees Cece and stops. His buddy turns and sees her too.
Whoa, come and play with us, please.
I'm looking for Bob. A Bob. Any Bob?
I'm sure I can help you with that.
We'd love to help you, pretty lady.
Here, let me take your bag. Have a seat.
He sits Cece down and puts the object in his hand down on the desk next to her. Cece's eyes widen as she sees it's a mechanical hopping penis.
Okay, look, you know what? I'm just going to let you guys get back to what you were doing.
Oh, don't rush off.
Okay.
We'd really like to get to know you.
As the guys start to swarm around her, a hand reaches out towards Cece and the crowd parts. The hand belongs to Tamra, a tall Afro-Latina wearing pink glasses and an impeccable Princess Leia costume. Tamra gestures with her hand.
These are not the douchebags you are looking for. Come. The Bobs have their offices on the outside of the floor. Deborah should have given you better directions or had one of them come upstairs to meet you.
That's the first professional thing I've heard here today. Thanks. Princess?
You can call me Tamra.
Tamra, fine. I'm Cece.
I know who you are.
You seem to be the only one around here who does. Tamra, would you mind if I... Why Princess Leia?
Oh, I know. It's kind of 80s, but my general organa gear is at the cleaner.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Tamra knocks on Moore's door.
Come in.
They enter Moore's corner office, which is as elegantly corporate as you can imagine.
Oh, thank God, civilization.
Cece, what are you doing here? Oh, shit. Is that today?
Today is definitely today, yes. We agreed that I'd start ASAP.
Yeah, I know. ASAP, ASAP. Tamara, could you be a doll and clear a space for Cece?
A space? I need an office.
I need to get back and finish
Oh,
debugging
come on,
the
ladies.
system.
Let's all work together to make this work. Cece, we don't really have offices per se.
What do you call this?
Oh, we? Sure. The founders have offices, but everyone else works in the communal space. It's an open space. It's the thing, the productive thing.
Are you serious? There are really no other offices.
This floor only has 4 corners.
Bob's phone rings.
Ah, shit. Got it. Tamara, Cece, we're good, right? All right. Hey, Stuart, hey, dude, I've been thinking about your proposal.
Well, time to head back to Tatooine, I guess.
Tell what?
Desert planet. Where Luke Skywalker was raised.
I'll be just a minute.
Yeah, it's got potential, sure, but how about the management? We've been seeing some pretty unsettling nutrition rates, that's for sure.
Bob,
Yeah, look,
what is the deal with,
look, I know the resumes are great. Tell me something I don't know. Oh! Right. Yeah, just a moment, Stu. Something on this end. Hold on. It's a little constructive criticism about our office attire. Complete overreaction. Yeah, back now, Stu. And all yours.
thanks for waiting.
Well, you never find your way back to Tatooine otherwise. Or what the Muggles call open office space.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Oh, what do you think? I was going to take you to some fictional planet?
No. So, how does everyone work in the one open office space?
Well, it depends on what you mean by work.
What's up?
Okay. Oh, God.
Well, come this way.
Interior, meeting room, office. Tamara and Cece enter a small, basic meeting room with glass walls.
All important meetings are held in the conference room upstairs, so a few of us have bogarted the meeting rooms on this floor.
I will never take a door for granted, ever again. Okay. I guess you can't have everything.
Well, Bella Hodge used to use this room when she was on site.
Did you know Bella well?
No is a funny word. We talked.
Were you a witness to any of the incidents she mentioned in her complaint?
They keep me pretty busy around here.
Right. And what is it that you do, Tamara?
Well, other than fuck up folks with my lightsaber.
Oh, wait. Right. Live long and prosper.
Okay. First, wrong fucking franchise. And if you try to pull some Battlestar Galactica Firefly out of your ass, I will seriously throw up.
And second,
What?
you said first. I presume the rant was meant to cut me down to sci-fi size, and that was first. So what's the second?
Well, second is I'm responsible for IT around here.
Really? That's great.
Because?
Because it shows that Hexagen has already made some small steps at diversifying their staff, giving women of color, like you, like me, important responsibilities. It's good.
On what planet is running IT at Hexagon an important responsibility? Because I would like to go there.
Getting you the respect you deserve will be one of my first responsibilities. On that note, a little less
Cosplay?
at the office might help.
Well, I used to wear jeans and ironic tees, just like the IT dudes wear. Then Bob said I should dress a little more feminine.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so they want feminine? Well, I've got a galaxy's worth of feminine for them.
You know what you need to do? You need to get me a list of every lameball comment a Bob has made to you, to any woman around here.
Well, there's not enough room on the entire internet for
And
a list
then
like
I need to
that.
set up interviews with every woman here, get their stories. I can't make things better without knowing how bad they really are.
Okay, you need to slow down.
And I get interviews. I'm going to do research. I'm going to start with Bella Hodge herself, any internal memoranda and texts. Oh, and most definitely all the emails to and from her. I don't know what they've told you about why they hired me.
I know you're here to fix a Bella situation if it can be fixed.
I've never met a situation yet that I couldn't. Do you have a code, Tamara?
You mean like in sisters helping sisters, or bros, or hoes before bros?
No, I mean like in Wi-Fi. I need to log in. Of course, I'm gonna need all the help I can get to the bottom of this.
Information around here is usually on a need-to-know basis.
I've been at places like that before when you need and then they don't want you to know about it.
Oh, that sounds like something Bella would have said.
So I guess you did know Bella a little bit, huh?
You need to be connected to a server. I'll go and make that happen.
Interior, hexagon hallway. Tamra is outside Cece's meeting room door when Matt approaches, looking her up and down.
You really should have come to work as slave Leia. That metal bikini, nice.
You mean the outfit she wore when she strangled Jabba with the same chain that he used to hold her prisoner? Yeah, I can totally see that happening.
Yeah, see, I didn't know you were so unhappy working here, Tamra. I can change that, you know.
I have work to do, and you're in my way.
Matt mockingly steps out of her way and bows. As she passes, he slaps her on the ass.
Whoops.
Cece looks through the glass wall and sees an upset Tamra and a smirking Matt, but she doesn't know what happens. Matt smiles brightly at Cece through the glass wall and walks away. Cece opens the door.
Tamra, is there anything, can I do something?
Oh, help me, Cece Stanton. You're my only hope. I'll get you set up on the server.
Someday I really have to watch that movie all the way through. All right. Hello, Hexagon. You are going to go from a harassment-ridden hell to a heaven of inclusion. You are going to be a beacon for the entire VC industry. You are going to...
Her phone buzzes. She reads, "Hello, hottie, drinks?" She looks up and sees one of the men smiling and waving at her.
Need a lot of work.
End of show. I have been working at Womankind, which is an agency providing free comprehensive services for survivors of gender-based violence, including intimate partner violence, sexual violence, human trafficking, and later elder abuse and child abuse. So with the counseling services and social advocacy that we provide, I'm here to serve as a moderator here and hoping that we will have a very rich discussion tonight. So first off, let's start with what had worked. So after listening to the reading, what had worked for you? What you liked most about the story and the characters, and why? Whoever wants to volunteer, please raise your hand. Okay, go ahead.
I'm too shy to go first. I like the dynamic of the Stanton relationship up front. It feels like they might be the only functional people in the whole story.
Great, thank you.
I love that it had a very dynamic rhythm to it. There was nothing unnecessary. It always kept my attention, and I loved all the different kinds of man stereotypes, the bobs. I loved it so much. Just a bunch of
I like the fact that it was very contemporary and many things that we can relate to today. And I must say that also it was kind of difficult looking at, because I come from a period where I thought we had done this and I thought it was over. And I'm personally certain, I'm a social worker, therapist, I'm working on a board, and I'm working with all males. And it's amazing to me that we have to go through this again, it's repeating itself. And I've set up a policy based on some of the places where they work that will address some of these concerns. So it was kind of sad for me, and it was kind of like I've been in a time lapse or something. But I'm very pleased that it's being done. But I don't know what happened, why there's the need for the continuing, and it's like it's new again. What's old again is new again, and that was kind of made me sad.
Thank you for sharing.
I loved it, and I thought the actors were great too, so I'm gonna throw that in. I really liked it because it's, a lot of times when you hear the term sexual harassment, you think of the worst, you think of the act. And there are men who don't, I mean, all right, some of this was a little, I know that to prove a point, they were doing the sex jokes and all that. But a lot of harassment is so subtle, and the same way bigotry and prejudice is. And I think looking forward to the rest of it. I happen to know Cheryl, who's the writer, and she's amazing. And she says hi, because she's flying to London. I just told her I was here. So I like the fact that because the one character, where is that one with that fabulous voice? Yes. You. Your is great, because his character is the type who thinks he really is. He goes, I don't say anything bad, I'm nice, I notice what you're wearing, and who are, truly puzzled by it, where some of the others were, more definitive in their prejudice. But what was really interesting to me is, we're not looking at a bunch of white guys. The guys are diverse in their background, and every time I see that, I want to shake them and go, do you like being called names? Do you like being called names? What about you? Even somebody, let's say, not svelte. Just holding it because we have fat shaming in this society. So it's interesting that all the guys are part of groups that also have prejudice, but for some reason when they're all together, the guy thing now maybe overrides it, or maybe it wouldn't have overrode it 20, 30, 40 years ago. So that's interesting.
Thank you. And I saw a hand right over there.
Good evening. I enjoy it, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate here for a second. I feel like it puts us men in a stereotypical category of being the douchebags in a way. And I did feel, not to be touchy on the subject, I'm aware that most sexual harassment occurs from men or women, but it still puts us in a precarious situation here as to show that, we're the only ones that sexually harass. So I feel like in a way it's just kind of biased. It puts us it's basically confirming the stereotypical that is, that we face as being the bad guys or the douchebags.
So you're saying that the portrayal of the male in this, particular clip is relatively very stereotypical. And it's sort of
it's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I saw. I don't know if I'm just, but it's what I picked up.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody has something to respond to that?
I think, go ahead.
Good. That's what it is that you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing how you could be projected, not you necessarily, but the thing is those stereotypes are definitely there. And yes, there's definitely female harassment also, but that's like another story, and it's whether they want to go into that. There are old stories all about, but the point is, you looked in the mirror and you saw yourself, and you didn't like what you saw, so you took umbrage to that.
Yeah, but it just doesn't.
I understand. I'm saying I understand. Not talking about you personally.
I know. I'm aware.
But that's calling a spade, so to speak. If the attitude wasn't there, then it wouldn't be projected.
I mean,
If
the
that makes
conversation
sense.
about, sexual discrimination, about microaggression is going to be uncomfortable.
Yes,
And this is why we're coming
exactly.
together having this conversation. So I appreciate everybody, share your honest thoughts. And I see there are a few more hands wanting to talk about,
I do agree with you, actually. Yeah, I did think of that, where it was like, is this reverse sexism right now? If that they're written in such stereotypes, as I also called them before, because they were stereotypes. But stereotypes all come from real people. from reality that were created. They are extreme stereotypes, obviously, to make a point, and I have worked with groups like that were exactly like that, and I think stereotypes are the worst representation of a group, which is, it's a story, so it needs to be extreme to create a nice contrast to make a point, basically. And also, what was I going to say? I was going to add on your point as well. This is, I believe, the first episode of a series, right? So I think witnessing the change of all these stereotypes becoming three-dimensional, because stereotypes are two-dimensional, I think throughout the series we'll probably see them become more three-dimensional and realize, oh, we'll see the change of that, so that'll be a nice arc. So this is a good starting point, I think, but I'm hoping to see in the series going forward that we get to know why they're acting like this as well, and how they change into a better person.
We have a few hands right behind you.
Yeah, I completely agree that there are some stereotypes up there. That felt like a very conscious decision to me by the writer, because there also were at least one male character in the husband who felt a little more fleshed out, a little less extreme, and I really appreciated the choice of showing these stereotypes, of making that choice as a writer to show that, because that on sort of a meta level is a statement in and of itself. I'm an actress. I'm sure there are other actresses in this room. How many times do you read a breakdown where it's like, you know, the male character, he's this and he's that and he's educated and you have this like paragraph of, you know, all the things that he is, and then the female character is hot. I mean, that's daily, multiple times daily. She's hot. She's hot, but she doesn't know that she's hot. She's hot, but not like a model hot. She's girl next door hot. She's. I had one recently was like, she's hot even though she's 30. That was a favorite. Ouch. So it's kind of interesting, and I'm really interested to see where this will progress. Like you were saying, where the starting point is, he's a douchebag. He's a douchebag, but he doesn't know he's a douchebag. He's a douchebag, but he's a cute douchebag. He's a douchebag, but he's a charming douchebag. And hopefully it will, progress from there. But I really appreciated that sort of role reversal.
And would you still want to have something?
Yeah. No, I agree with you that I noticed in the very first scene we see a male character who's her boyfriend or husband, who's respectful but also funny. That's in the very first scene, so that's a positive stereotype of a male character. And showing all these different stereotypes in the workplace of male characters. I don't think it's necessarily saying all men are like this, but these stereotypes are based on reality. I've seen all these, and that's what I was gonna say. That's what I really like. There's a lot of different personalities here that I've seen in real life that I haven't seen on TV yet. Not just the males, but also the females, and especially the women of color in this.
Thank you.
And
earlier we had right over here.
I just wanted to add on to, first I really enjoyed what was performed today so far for the episode. To add on to the stereotypes, I feel like what I'm looking forward to is maybe there will be a character that represents the non douchey, misogynistic co-worker. I'm interested in seeing that being portrayed as well, because of course, there are the good and bad in workforce in the workplace, but there should be. There is the middle person, the middle guy who sees things that are happening to his female co-workers, and he's trapped in this middle ground where he's trying to understand and work with things that are being negatively portrayed in the workforce, and at the same time trying to figure out how to make women comfortable in the workforce as well. I'm just curious as to if there's, I don't know if you can reveal that, or if you even have like that shown already written, or you can express there being a possibility of such a character. But I think just as a beginning point of this pilot, it would be interesting to see that as well, because of course, like, this is a heightened comedy, and it's, I like to see a continued diversity of what the real world is like. I don't know if that makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah. Please.
I was about to say as well, I really appreciate, the fact that you said that it was uncomfortable. I think many of us experience it as being uncomfortable, and I appreciate the uncomfort level. What I would not like to see happen, and I'm kind of hearing, this is very real. Everyone knows someone like this. This is the beginning point. But I would not like to see it for the sake of making everyone comfortable, skip over the process. I'm looking forward to the process. This is what most people like to avoid. And it's an opportunity to learn. You got to go through the process. In order to go through the process, you're going to have to be uncomfortable. That's why it's called mirror. If you ever stood in the mirror and looked at yourself for any period of time, I don't know how many people have done it. Try it sometime. I started when I was very young. You stay there for a few minutes, it becomes very uncomfortable. You begin to see all of your flaws and everything that's wrong that you never even looked at, you want to overlook. Do not skip over the uncomfort, because that way people will never learn. And I appreciate the comedy in there. It was brought with some comedy. We saw some things that was based on what we see today. You don't skip over it. I'm looking forward to the process emerging and being something, because that's the only way people will learn and even reflect upon their own microaggression. And I love that new word. I didn't have it when I was in school, because most people who have prejudice and biases, and they say ridiculous things, they're not aware of it. Why some people get angry sometimes. They're not always aware of what it is that they're doing. I'm hoping this mirror can reflect and make people more aware of it, and that leads to a much more decent society.
Thank you for sharing that. And therefore, I invite all of us to stay present, stay with the uncomfortable, and continue with our conversation. I saw a few hands right over here. May I take the ladies in the front first?
Sure. So I just wanted to make 2 points. One is that this takes place in a tech company, and it's about misogyny and sexism, not about sexual harassment. And as we've seen come out in the news, memos from tech bros who are actually saying women are biologically incapable of being able to do this work. So this is not, these stereotypes that we're seeing up there are actually a reflection of reality, and maybe even worse. Like, I don't think any of the guys up there said, oh, you can't actually do this, or it was getting to that point, because they wouldn't hire a woman who could then become a venture capitalist on her own. So it is actually coming out of something real. And just to remember, it's not about, I didn't see it about sexual harassment. I saw it about misogyny and kind of like these ingrained, thinking that even women sometimes have about our abilities. And the second is the question about the mirror. If you're around everybody who looks like you, that's your mirror. And so you're just perpetuating the same thing. And unfortunately, tech is dominated by men. Mostly white men, but also men with a lot of money and a lot of privilege. So I think I think that'll come out. And I think that I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. And please.
I was struck by how much courage it took for the character of Cece to engage and deal with the situation with understandable anxiety and vulnerability, but not overreacting to the stereotypical stuff thrown her way, and to stay engaged and to stay professional. That she'd seemed very alone up there, Daniel in the lion's den kind of situation. And so just the courage that it takes to really confront it and stick with it and get something accomplished.
I guess mine's more of a, not to beat the stereotype point to a dead horse, but it's a structural point. So, we're watching a dramedy. And so generally in my experience, like for particular comedies that aren't meant to just be slapstick, they take versions of stereotypes as the opening wedge point to get at an issue. You know, you look at Silicon Valley and its parody of tech and other type things, and or Veep or whatever, and it's the wedge that's used to open up the story conversation. So you may see a magnification of certain personalities or certain things, because that's how you tease out the humor of the ED point of the dramedy. And then I think one thing I was interested in, and I know Cheryl's not here, but maybe Jen and Jason could speak to it, is maybe I misread it, but I kind of viewed Cece's character as the traditional straight character going through the comedy routine on the comedy side of this, because she's bringing a normalcy approach to a loonier surrounding to try to figure out the issues and approach the entertainment that way. So I don't know if that was an intentional thing by the writer or not, but that kind of struck me. And Cece had a lot of humor lines, but it was, you know, more of the Dean Martin than the Jerry Lewis presentation going back way back. So that's my little commentary.
So one comment that somebody had just made made me think about a question in terms of what if Cece didn't quote-unquote act professional? Only because I personally have experienced sexual harassment many times, and I've gone through ridiculously traumatizing HR experiences, and I would never report again because of it. I'm just wondering, with the load, granted that society doesn't value mental health, we don't talk about mental health, and if you have to face that every day, and you have to carry that, but you have no outlet, for me, I cannot blame somebody who didn't act professional because it just wears you down. So a question I have for everybody is, what does professionalism mean? In what spaces can we be human? What type of human can we be? Given these situations of microaggression, different types of trauma, it's something I think about all the time that I'm just throwing out there.
The next question. I think we touched upon it a little bit already. So what did you not like about it? What did not work for you? And please stay constructive and explain why you didn't like what you didn't like. You know, instead of saying like, oh, I don't like it. End of the story. Okay? Great. So whoever has a point, please raise your hand.
I don't think there was anything, sorry, I just started talking. I don't think there was anything that I disliked, but I was a little confused about the Tamra character and her relation with Cece, because she seemed a little judgmental of her at some points, and I wasn't sure why, because I guess she's wearing a cosplay, but I was just trying to figure out why that character existed. Is she like a sex object in the office? That's what it is. Who has given up? I don't know. I know you're not the writer, but I was hoping to have more of a dialogue than a monologue.
When I nod, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to put it out there.
I think someone.
I think a question would be is, I think as the series unfolds, I haven't read the future episodes, but I think as the series unfolds, that relationship will develop more. And I guess maybe a textured version of that statement is, should there be a more prolonged counter tension between the two characters before they start to ally a little bit more? Now, does that need to happen in the pilot, or can it start and develop later? And that's just the question for the production team of when they want to have the turning point in the relationship be, so that role is a little more obvious between the two characters and why they're interacting and how they're going to continue their interaction.
I actually thought that was my favorite relationship because it's so ambiguous. You know, it's sort of like she's looking at Cece with this like, you think you can come in and change this place, but at the same time she's kind of like, oh, here's someone who may want to change this place, you know. So I like the dynamic, and I kind of like the, like, you don't know what to expect, you don't know what's going to happen with them from day to day, and how easily it's going to be to build that trust or to break that trust in that situation.
I saw her as a veteran and a survivor. She's learned, she's a veteran. It's not that she doesn't know what's going on, but she's found a way. She has to keep the job for whatever reason. She probably has family, kids, and that's what she has selectively chosen, her way to survive in this particular environment that I'm sure she finds just as obnoxious as Cece. She's a veteran.
Yeah, she was told to dress more feminine, and in her quirky, nerdy way, she's like, okay, this is how I'll do it without making myself what you wanted. And she went cosplay because that's what she knows.
She found something
And
for
there's
herself.
the writer, I'm pretty sure, drew upon a truth factually. There's an actual real person who did this in real life, had a similar comment, and reacted by doing that as their FU.
We've all seen them.
I liked all the answers. Thanks, everybody.
And definitely about, surviving, because many times we see somebody and behaving in a certain way that we may not approve of, and then many times we didn't look at what led them to where they are, why they're behaving that way. And looking at Tamra, this character, and I think many times is thinking about her strengths and her ability to keep her job and function at whatever level she is right now, right? So she find her own way, her own maybe humorous, maybe sarcastic, maybe cynical, but she's surviving. She's keeping her job and she's doing what she's supposed to. Yes.
I'm just wondering if they're going to touch upon the fact that a lot of times I find women have very narrow parameters to operate in. If we're not considered attractive enough, but if we're too attractive, and it's almost like you're tight, rope walking. And of course, Cece is very lovely, and the actor and the role. But so I think a lot of times the guys were listening to her, going, "Okay, we're gonna listen to her because she's cute and adorable and all that." And I liked her humor because it's actually showing that even in your soul, if you're feeling like but if you just, that joke about the fairy one, I mean, that actually will turn people around going, oh yeah, I guess we did say something stupid, something like that. So I'm wondering if that's going to come into play. Like, is she more palatable because she is packaged that way? So maybe we'll listen to her, and because that's a real thing too. And we've seen it in politics, we've seen it in everywhere. If you can't be either extreme. You got to kind of walk that line. So anyway, I just was interested. I just want to address the gentleman in the middle over here. If you're very comfortable with yourself and you know that that's not how you treat women, then you can sit there and watch other guys who act like that, because it's actually not saying all guys are like that. It's the same thing to bring up another subject matter, when you talk about Black Lives Matter and white privilege and letting white people go, oh, no, that's not me, if you know that's not you, you don't have to protest it. So just know, that's not saying all men, they're saying this company, these men. And if you know you're not like that, that's great, then you can pat yourself on the back. So it's not attacking. But it's not saying that. It's saying that this is a problem.
No, I understand.
It's like saying.
I just have an issue with the portrayal of it,
Right,
the image of it.
but these are portrayal, but it's not saying all men. As
No,
I
no,
said.
of course not, of course not.
If you're portraying somebody who's a racist, somebody who's this, we're not saying everybody's like that, but that's somebody's experience.
No, of course, yes.
And this lady back there, another warrior from the past, whatever, me too. You have to go through the uncomfortableness, and you can say, okay, you know what, I'm like so glad I'm not like that. That's so pathetic, because I'm a man and I'm not like that. But you have to let it play out. It is not saying, I'm just being clear, because it's not saying all men are like that. They're just dealing with this company, because the whole plot is that this company is not doing well when it comes to diversity and harassment. But I'm just saying that everyone needs to have a right to talk about bigotry, because we all feel it from either our ethnic group or religion or our looks or whatever. And you can say, well, I don't do that. Okay, well, that's fine. But when someone is expressing the hurt or the upset they feel about bigotry, you have to listen with not
feeling like it's to you. And so I just wanted to tell you that. And I'm happy that you differ, that you're a guy who goes, that is so not me. That's great.
Can I actually say something?
Not from a actor perspective or anything, but what you said is really very, very interesting, and the whole feeling of discomfort is really, really interesting. And so, just to share something, I think a lot of us really like to get on a pedestal, myself included, and say, I'm not racist, I'm not sexist, whatever. And one of this really eye-opening moment for me came when I was, it happened over a year period, but I was on it's just so silly, but I was on a conference call with one other woman and a bunch of men, and we heard a baby on the call, and it was the woman's baby. And I said nothing, but in my head I thought, that is so unprofessional. She couldn't put the baby in another room, are you serious? But I did nothing, I didn't say anything, I wasn't rude. A year, nothing happened, that's the whole story. But then a year later, I'm on a conference call again, and this time I'm the only woman, and we hear a baby, and it's one of the men's babies. And I think, oh my God, that's so cute, what a good dad. And it wasn't until I was on the train going home that it struck me that was the exact same situation. And I consider myself to be a nice person. I think I'm an egalitarian, I'm a feminist, I self-describe that way. But that was my visceral reaction, and it really upset me. And I spent a lot of time kind of parsing through where did that come from, and why did I do that, and really trying to just note it, because I can't stop it, but I can note it when it happens, and I can note my triggers, and then I can try to deal with it through dialogue. And so I can't speak to, all the things in the writer, and it's really to get your feedback, not to give mine, but just one of the benefits of seeing kind of extreme behavior is that sometimes it does open us up to these sort of uncomfortable truths when we do
But
these
we
things.
are a constantly divided country. We're finding tons, and this not just in the arts. We find it everywhere. Everywhere people are just divided. But it has to be for everything, consistently. It can't just be, and I know, I got 2 sisters, I got 2 nieces. Of course, I would never like to see them get disrespected like that. No way. But we have to be consistent on what is it that we seek. Which is all of us to be treated, as equally as possible.
And I wanted to go off a little bit on Jen's point about this conversation. When we have any conversations about otherness, we're saying they. We're saying they are, and I am, and we are. Who are we and who are they? Like you said, it's divided, right? They are us. And all the things that we are seeing being portrayed on TV in our daily life, it's not just about they. It's not about somebody else. And we need to, as a society, to stop thinking about the otherness and to stop blaming and to think about ourselves, because that's the only way of change. And let's move on to the next question. Based on what you've seen today, what would you like to see more of? And also including any other feedbacks you would like to.
So I noticed that Cece's character, there were a few moments where we saw her being very self-conscious and maybe socially awkward. Like she had the meeting with those guys, and then after that she's like, oh, did I go too hard on them? Are they not going to like me? Things like that. Even though she's a strong character, when she's in front of them, when she's not in front of anyone, we see a vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering how that would be explored, if that kind of social anxiety and self-consciousness would be explored more, because that's a very common thing amongst Asian Americans and women. So yeah, I think that's I was happy to see that in there, but I was just wondering if that was going to be explored more.
I'm very interested to see if it's touched on the fact that she's not really a heroine. She's helping the bad guys in a sense. They brought up Scandal a couple of times, and in Scandal, Olivia Pope, a couple of seasons in, kind of deals with this notion of do I get to wear the white hat? Am I doing good work? And she's not. Cece necessarily isn't. She sounds like she's going to take this Bella Hodge, through the mud. So I think that would be really interesting to hear how she reconciles with that. If she cares, if it's just a paycheck, that's fine. But if she actually has some deeper feelings about it, I think that would be really interesting. And then just to complicate the matter, to add some layers, it would be really interesting to hear some women employees who work there who are falling in line, who are just as misogynistic. Not necessarily like, I'm a woman who hates other women, or I think I'm better than other women, but you kind of get socialized and you play the game and you fall in line and you do the same things. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of piggybacking on the gentleman that was speaking earlier. I would like to have seen more of Cece's. We kind of were presented at the beginning with someone who's kind of amping herself up, and then when she's like in the room, she's all business. But I wanted to see like, how does it affect you as a woman to be defending people that have more or less, in a way, abused another woman? So where does that fit in, like emotionally? Where does that character live? And it's fine if it's like, the series starts with her being very, business focused, and then she kind of gets fleshed out a little bit more and maybe reveals her struggles with it, or maybe she doesn't have struggles with it and she's just learned to let that go years ago. But I guess I wanted a little bit more specificity in that in the first scene is kind of, where does she stand? Like, how does that, I know for me, like, I would have a lot of trouble trying to defend people that were abusive to something that was very close to me, whether it was, being a woman, it was some sort of nationality, it was a religion, it was even someone I loved that was like that. It would be very hard for me to defend people that were abusing them. So, I would, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I guess this is a very vague comment, but the first half of the episode was amazing. It had all my attention. It was interesting. It was well balanced. But then going into the second half, the topic started to wear off a little bit. And then I lost a little bit of interest on the second half. I don't know what it is, if it was too much sexual harassment happening all the time, or what it was. So I really don't know what it is, but it's just like, you had all my attention on the first half, the second half started wearing off a little bit. And I think it was very well balanced as far as getting a male perspective or engage into this type of controversial topic. So it had me engaged. So hopefully that helps.
I'm curious to see how that interaction with the mom and the child plays out on a long enough timeline, because it exposes the fact that Cece and her husband don't have children. And I'm curious as to how that storyline works its way through the "can you have it all" thing in 2017. Just the idea that we know that birth rates are down the developed world over, and just the idea of what happens when the relationship is so equal that everybody just kind of defers, well, she's up for it, he's not, so they just don't, or vice versa. What is that special blend of trying to find equality and still maintain some sexual dynamic, some chemistry?
I'm looking forward to getting to know Bella Hodge, particularly because she's demonized by everyone, including Cece, pretty much. I'd like to have some significant time with her, so we get to see a whole character and hear it from her mouth.
I can't stop thinking about the couple points we talked about with this idea of the defense attorney defending the criminal in this case. She keeps saying 10 times, 11 times, I fixed these things. And I feel like you were saying, in that first scene where she's talking about how many she's fixed, it feels like an easy thing for her to say, I didn't just take care of their problem, I changed the culture. Right. I changed them. I fixed 11 companies and the culture, not just getting these rich white guys off. And I think that didn't come through, and that's what was missing.
I look forward to getting more of an additional backstory of her husband. He, in the first scene, he appeared supportive, and sometimes he kind of seemed to minimize her ability to do or not do. And I would be very interested in more dynamics between, with the husband, to really find out what his real thinking is, because I think that would be very interesting.
I look forward to being able to lean into the gray areas a little more. I think, this is the pilot, you have to establish things so it's a little more black and white, the stereotypes that we've already talked about. So both from a character standpoint and from a dialogue standpoint, that I would imagine as it moves forward that the series can get a little more subtle, get a little more complex. And because my fear would be that if you don't do that, it could feel a little bit, after school special. Here's what's good, here's what's bad, and nothing in between. And obviously the conversation we have tonight is about how it's way more complex than that. And I see the groundwork being laid for that in this pilot, so I would hope to see those complexities develop.
I'm sorry, I'm also excited to see the evolution of Cece's relationship with Tamara and with herself. Just see Cece outside of the context of a relationship to a male, like whether it's her partner or the people that she's working with.
I just wanted to see more of the Bobs. No, we can take the harassment. No, I definitely wanted to see more Cece and sort of more her motivation, and I thought it'd be nice if kind of the wealth inequality might be addressed at some point, because it's certainly a big issue. She is defending the wealthiest of the wealthy, and I thought it might be interesting at some point if she's conflicted because maybe she's the bad guy. She's the one who's getting all these people off, and they're the worst. So something along those lines. I'm sure they already have it all planned out, but that to me is fascinating. That kind of heroine who is also up to no good, possibly. So.
I think coming back to our original starting point about microaggression, in my line of work, many times I'm mostly fascinated by the fact that I'm hearing almost I couldn't really say it's a pattern, but many survivors of sexual violence, intimate partner violence, human trafficking, they did not enter a relationship or connected with someone thinking that person is misogynist or cruel or rude in any way. And in fact, they usually see them as well-educated, well-behaved, very kind-hearted. So honestly, every day in and out, I work with survivors. That's something always, puzzles me. As in, what happened in that process, and how a person from, being perceived as an overall nice person, well-respected, become a perpetrator, become an abuser. And most of the times when I speak with survivors and I think about how they've met, what are the early days, and they start to think about, oh, they did say such thing. But I thought, you know what, that was a joke. They didn't really mean it. I don't think, they really is going to do that someday. It was just, joke. It's lighthearted. So one thing I really believe is that we cannot take those things lightheartedly, as it seems to be. Because we don't know, I've not seen many domestic violence situations where the person laid a hand on another person on day one. Right. Otherwise, you wouldn't get married. But it's usually starting from making little comments about, oh, honey, I think you should wear a different outfit, and I really don't like you staying out late at night, and I don't really like you having a phone number of that guy on your phone. And it developed. So I think this is a really interesting conversation for me to hear. And I really, if there's one message I would want to let everybody know, is that, microaggression, abuse, discrimination, sexual assault, it really starts small, and it starts around us. It does not just, pretends to a specific group. It is not immigrants' issue. It's not, you know, one person's issue. It is all of our responsibilities to look around and take responsibilities and help ourselves. Great. And, well, thank you again. Take a deep breath.